Good morning. My name is Michael Thane. I'm the Director of Utilities for the City of Round Rock. Round Rock, most of you probably know, is about 15 miles north of Austin. Very growing community. We're about 120,000 people today. Our water utility provides to those 120,000 people, but also to not a lot of municipal utility districts. So about 165,000 people is our water utility. Round Rock is known for Dell Computer. We have the Round Rock Express AAA baseball team, and recently in the last year, Resort Kalahari. It's the largest indoor water park in the United States, convention center and hotels. So lots of activity in Round Rock, lots of activity in our county, Williamson County. All those cities are growing, lots of single family developments, lots of commercials. So water is going to be a big deal. It's already a big deal in Williamson County, but water conservation is going to play a big part of the future of that county. And it's, we cannot continue to use water like we've been using in the past. So that'll be very important. But thank you to allowing me to come speak on Round Rock. I'm here to talk about Winter Storm Uri. As you know, you all probably live in Texas, except for our previous speaker from California. But last year was a crazy time in February, right? There's not a utility in the state that was prepared for what was about to hit us that week. We're used to temperatures getting below freezing for a day or so, but 5 or 6 days of that, and then the snow, and then the loss of power. You guys know, other than having water source, what's the next big, most important thing a utility needs? And that's power. And you saw it that week. I used to have the numbers, but almost all the utilities across the state had some sort of boil water notice. We're out of water. It was just a crazy week. Round Rock, we were able to sustain our water supply. We never had to go into a boil water notice, but there were lots of sticky moments. And I'll kind of go through kind of the week. I'll tell a little bit of a story of kind of how we survived it. It did take some luck, but there's a lot of things. It wasn't what we did that week. It was, let's go back 15 years, and it's the planning, water utility planning, and our city councils and management investing in utilities. That was the biggest thing. You have to invest in utilities. You have to continue to maintain your system. And that helped us. So it helped us get through that week, but I always go back, all the previous years of all the infrastructure we put in place, all the things we did that helped us get through that week. So we'll kind of talk about a few of those. In case you forgot what it looked like, here's a couple slides just for your memory. And that looks like Colorado or something, Wyoming, doesn't it? That's in downtown Round Rock right there. This is a view of our intake structure down there at Lake Georgetown. Lake Georgetown is the primary water source for the city of Round Rock. And this intake area here, you'll hear me talk a lot about it because this is where it all starts, right? We have to get the water out of the lake. And if we cannot get the water out of the lake, nothing else is going to matter. So the foggy area down there, that's actually the lake, and we're taking a picture. And the equipment you see down there is our pumps. We have 9 pumps that pump water to our water treatment plant, which is right here. That just does not look like Texas, does it? So that was the week. Anytime we have something, we're watching the weather all the time. And in this case, we saw the forecast, it's going to be freezing. So the first thing we always do is make sure we fill up our water system. And all the elevated tanks are full, everything is filled. All of our equipment's ready to go. We're full of diesel in our trucks. Everything's ready to go because it's just going to be freezing for 24 hours and we'll be back in business in 2 days, right? Sure. So we started out really good. And this is a picture, SCADA system. Y'all probably all know what a SCADA system is. It's how we monitor our entire system. It's all electronic. So this is just one little corner of our system, but this is very important because I'm gonna kind of tell you over the next 5 days, we're gonna have 3 pictures of this and you'll see the changes as those 5 days go during the freezing temperatures. You obviously want a lot of blue. We love blue in water, right? So when you have blue, your tanks are full. You see up on the top left, you see Lake Georgetown, 12.5. That's what we were pumping out of the lake at that time, 12.5 million gallons per day. We pump into the water plant, which is kind of the turquoise. And then after that, it goes into those 4 clear wells over there. That's treated water that's ready to send out into our system. As you see there, it's got the clear well numbers, and then the number below that is the level, 14.4 is the level of water in the clear well. Remember that number. The other 2, Barton Hill on the right and 1431 over here, those are our 2 highest tanks in our system. Those are always very important to have water in them because everything's going to gravity out of that as we go out through our system. So we filled up all these tanks, like I stated. The cold weather hit Friday, Saturday. This is a view of Sunday, February 14th, which actually was yesterday, right? Valentine's Day. System looks wonderful. We're doing great. But guess what? The demand in the system was 17 million gallons a day. So we're pumping out 12.5 here. So if the demand is more than that, all that blue is going to start being taken out because of the demand in the system. Power was already out. So when I mentioned we had 9 pumps at Lake Georgetown, we had an emergency generator down there because the power was out, and the emergency generator can only run 2 pumps. The generator is rated for 13 million gallons a day, which if the demand is 17, then we're not going to be able to keep up, right? So we had that generator running as hard as we could. It was pumping more than 13, but because of the demand, everything in the system was starting to decline. This is on Sunday the 14th. That's Wednesday the 17th. It's still freezing. It's not supposed to be freezing for 5 days in Texas. What's going on here? Look at the Lake Georgetown number there. I don't have a pointer, but you'll see it there at 17.2 is the demand. And as you see here, look at the clear well levels, 3.7 feet, 3.8. When those clear wells get to 3.3 feet, we cannot send water out of them. So if something does not change real quick here, we will not be able to send any more water out of the water plant because at 3.0, they lock out. And that's how we send water out into our system. There's 165,000 people waiting on that. So that's Wednesday. Wednesday morning, so Pedernales Electric Cooperative, PEC, is the main water provider for that intake. Power is still out for 4 or 5 days. That generator is humming at 15, 16 million gallons a day. It's ready for 13. How we found a 6th gear in that 5-gear system, I don't know, but we did. So that morning, we had to make some decisions. And really, when you talk about teamwork, you know, the city really came together. It was not just the utility department, but we had other departments coming together to help us figure out. One of the things we were doing from Sunday to Wednesday was we were hauling out in the back of our trucks. We had a 100-gallon storage for diesel tanks that we were taking out and keeping the diesel generator full. Well, because of the freezing temperatures, that was getting worse and worse. And we were falling behind. So we had to figure out a way to keep that generator full of diesel. At 7 a.m. on Wednesday the 14th, based on my calculations, if we did not get more diesel in that generator, the generator would be stopped at noon on Wednesday the 14th, of the 17th. So if the generator's not pumping any water out of the lake, we're not getting any water to the plant, we're not pumping out anything, then we would be out of water, right? So we're getting really scary here. We have 4 hours to work with it. So hold that thought. Here's a couple pictures, just what our crews were doing. So I slid these in there. Employees made all the difference. Training and cross-training and all that you do for your employees is very critical. And that really played in. The guy on the right, there was a chlorine leak at our disinfection at the water plant. So he suited up. So that was going on. So if you can just imagine, when you have freezing temperatures, everything is breaking, right? We have our transmitters and our radio system for the SCADA system all froze up. So now we're having to manually go out there. Everything is going crazy. The pumps, if the pumps are not running, they're frozen up, right? So the 9 pumps at the lake, The 2 we had kept running, but the other 7 are all frozen up. So even if power comes back on, so then we had a heating torch where we had 2 more that we were heating up so that when the power did come back on, we could catch back up. So just a lot of factors in play. A lot of employees stepped up and did a lot for us that week. This photo right here on the right, if you've ever been between Round Rock and Georgetown, as you head out that way towards Lake Georgetown, it's very hilly. DB Wood Road is the road. And that's a photo right there of that Wednesday morning. Remember what I said, we needed to get more diesel. So we go to the Parks Department. They had a 500-gallon tote that we could fill with diesel and haul it out there, and that's what we're doing right there. That's the Transportation Department in the beginning, laying out sand for us. We have a fire department F550 that has the tote on it. So it took several departments to help us, but they're making their way out there on that Wednesday morning, because if we do not get more diesel in the diesel generator by noon, then that's out, right? So these guys get to the lake at 11:51. When they got there, while they were getting set up, the generator shut down. It ran out. So I want to say Round Rock had our stuff together, and we did, but there was so much, it's like, oh my goodness. We're there, the generator runs out of diesel, we get it hooked back up. The photo on the left, you see that is at the generator. That was probably the night before where we're filling it up. But talked about city council having utilities, supporting utilities and spending money in infrastructure. That generator was bought in 2008. It was $800,000. Most councils would say, you want to spend $800,000 on a generator that you probably will never need? But that is so critical for a utility system, having redundancy, having those types of things, because always things can go out. We hadn't needed that generator before, because when we lose power, it's always been for 2 hours here, 2 hours there, nothing like this. But that generator saved us spending $800,000, 13 years prior to this day. So that's all going on Wednesday. We get the generator filled up. We're calling PEC, begging them, we need the power turned on. What caused this whole deal was ERCOT, the demand in the system for energy, electricity, was greater than what was being generated. So ERCOT sent out a rolling outage request to all distributors, Encore, PEC, whoever, that they had to have rolling outages to be able to keep the power on to critical infrastructure. Critical infrastructure is hospitals and things like that. Guess what's on critical infrastructure now all over the state of Texas? Water utilities and water plants. Our system was not listed on the critical infrastructure, which is crazy. So we found out if you do not have water, a city we can't survive, right? Power and water are the 2 most important things you got to have. And that's what we were, power almost, if you don't have power first, you can't have water. You need them both. So now we're on critical infrastructure, which is very important. Wednesday at noon, we get the power in the generator. By Wednesday night at 10 p.m., PEC got the power back on for us. And guess what? Look at the system now. Our beautiful blue that we love. Demand at Lake Georgetown is 23.7. Another important comment I want to make is the communication aspect of this. Somewhere around that Monday, February 15th, we sent out a message to our citizenry and our customers, real nice one, something like this. City has water, we're doing great, but we please try to conserve the best you can so that we can continue to provide water to our community, right? Shouldn't be too bad. Guess what everybody did? They all freaked out. They start filling up their tubs. So that 17 million gallon per day demand goes to 21 million gallon day command when we're trying to cut the demand. Everybody freaked out, right? They wanted water in their tubs. We're going to make sure we have water. Everybody's doing it. Our message backfired on us. So communication and outreach is really critical in that regard. So after Wednesday, we get to Friday the 19th. And as you see, the system's back filled up. Couple other points I want to make. Once we get to Friday, we were able to help our neighboring utilities. Almost every neighboring utility was out of some sort of boil water notice or whatever. We have interconnects with our neighboring utilities, so regionalism is a big deal in the water industry. It will become even more important as water becomes more precious. But we're connected to our surrounding cities, and we were able to help a lot of those guys. We were actually able to help ERCOT's headquarters is in Taylor, Texas. We were hauling water to ERCOT, try to get them, hey, get the power back on in the state of Texas. So that was helpful. Here's some of our notifications. Another thing that's very important, in Round Rock, the ETJ, there's 4 water utilities that provide water to people that have a Round Rock, Texas address. So we obviously provide the city and then all the MUDs, but there's a few other utilities that provide to folks with a Round Rock, Texas address on the outskirts. Well, they were all in a boil water notice. So they tell their customers, boil your water. They're panicking. So they're calling their buddies in Round Rock, in the real Round Rock, to the city, saying, hey, y'all are in a boil water notice. We were never in a boil water notice, but the message went crazy. Somebody called the TCQ and said the city of Round Rock's in a boil water notice. So we were listed on their page. So these are some of the things, but it's just so critical that you get ahead of the communication and get your story out and the facts out, because that kind of caught us, unfortunately, because we never had a problem with water, but everybody was freaking out. They're calling our council, they're calling everybody, and it's like we're having to be on the defense unnecessarily. So communication is very important in these types of events. But there are some of the messages that our communications team sent out. So just a crazy story. As you saw, we had our act together, but it takes a little luck sometimes too. Lessons learned, there's quite a few. So you've heard of Senate Bill 3. Senate Bill 3 came out from the legislature requiring all water utilities to prove that they can provide 20 PSI of water for 24 hours without power. So that is a mandate that all utilities in the state of Texas are dealing with now. Emergency generators are probably on back order big time, because that's one source. Sometimes it's hard to get 2 actual substations going to your facilities. So the utilities are having to provide that. That's a mandate from the legislature, so that's going on right now. But many lessons learned on our deal. We have a warehouse now where we're stocked up. We are buying extra parts of critical parts that we need. The next event probably will not be a 5-day winter storm event. It's going to be something different. So you never know what is going to be happening, but we're always thinking about what could happen. Let's be prepared. We spend a lot of time cross-training our employees so that they're ready for any event. We're always spending money on infrastructure. We're maintaining our infrastructure. All those factors we're doing on a daily basis so that we can continue to provide water. And conservation plays into this, no doubt. If we can continue to be more conscientious about how we use water, we do not have to be spending as much infrastructure, and it helps everybody in the long run, because people are moving to Central Texas every day, and it's going to be so critical. So that's Round Rock's story. And you probably heard many other cities around the state talking about this, but it was quite a challenge for us, and we were able to get through that. So I'll step away now. If you have any questions during that time, I'll be happy to talk more about it. Thank you.